Yo, this is the Iceman. You tuned into the Iceman Show. What's popping off YouTube? Uh, just wanted to get into a couple of things tonight. I wanted to talk about the economy. You all know the economy exists. Some of you are adversely affected by the economy, and then there's some of us who are doing okay. So we all have some knowledge of the economy and how it works. What you don't know is how the economy affects every facet of your life as you live within the American society. I'm going to connect some of those dots tonight. Um, if you can't talk about anything in America without talking about the economy. I was talking to someone. I was talking to a teacher not too long ago, and or ex-teacher, and we were talking about how fucked up the education system is, K through 12, in America. And the conclusion that we came up with was the fact that the reason why the public K through 12 education system in America is fucked up is because, first of all, the way it's financed. It's financed, based on property taxes from homeowners, and that is a purposeful uh, that was a purposeful uh, uh, mechanical insert. That was a purposeful uh, addition to and basically a setup for having a inequitable school system in America. Okay, they knew when they set up this school system that it was going to be good education for the haves and bad education for the have-nots. They knew what the fuck they were doing. Whoever designed our system knew exactly what they were doing. When they set up here and created this educational finance system, they knew that there would be huge inequalities. Okay? Because you can go to Naperville, Illinois, which is one of the best school districts in the country. They're probably in the top 20. And here they are, sending people, I don't know how many people to Harvard or Yale or whatever, coming out of Naperville High School. It's a beautiful campus. All of their facilities are just beautiful. And so when you look at that, you say, well, what the fuck? And yeah, it is, that's a component that was installed to fuck the whole thing up. The second reason why the K through 12 public education system in America is fucked up is because the people from the vice principal on up to the state superintendent to the Department of Education in Washington, it is fucked up because all of those people from the assistant principal on up to the federal level, 90% of these people's kids do not attend public school, yet they're making 60, 70, 80, $200,000 a year as school managers. And here they are as school managers, and they don't bring their kids, they don't have their kids go to school at these the very public schools that they're working for, that where they're getting cut a check every month. That's why they don't care. And then the third thing, the reason why K through 12 schools are fucking failure is because of the way how the way they go about evaluating academic progress. Okay? It's totally fucked up the way they do it. You know, you just gonna give somebody a standardized test that's actually culturally biased. It's let me tell you something. The American school system is about inequity. That's what it's about. It's about inequity. And it's about the haves and the have-nots having a thick and pronounced line drawn in between them. That's what it is. You can't tell me that that's not what it is. Look at these components. Property taxes financing the system. Standardized tests that are culturally biased. So what happens to the kids who live in areas where certain words are not used or certain vernaculars are not utilized? Then those kids don't know what the fuck they're talking about when they take the SAT test and they do the verbal part. They don't know what this word means because their parents never used it. Their parents ain't got time to be sitting around trying to build their vocabulary. They got to get up and go to work. And if they got sorry ass parents like a lot of them parents in the ghetto are, they doing drugs, they drinking too much, they're just absentee. Fucking up is their MO. And you know, if you got to fuck up for a parent, you're gonna have a fucked up life as a child. So the point that I want to make to y'all is this. Economics, as you can see, is connected to everybody. Now I just broke down our education system. 3 of the reasons why it is an utter failure. First, it's because of the property tax financing. Secondly, the managers, the executive staff from the school all the way to Washington D.C. on the federal level, these individuals do not have a stake in their own employment, in their own employer. So they, being that they making 60, 70, and 80,000 a year, they are sending their children to private school, people. You ask those principals, hey, where did your kids go to school? They either went to school in a very rich public school area district, or their kids went to public school. Their kids went to private school. And definitely from the superintendent and the board members on up, those people's kids don't go to regular schools. Do you know how much a school superintendent makes? Even in a little district, they make $180,000 a year, but they got to have a PhD. So the economy is tied to everything. Okay? And this whole thing with consumerism, with African Americans, let me explain something to you. You can sit up on your ass and buy all the Nike shit you want, all the Reebok shit you want. You can sit up on your ass and buy all the Tommy Hilfiger and Polo and Go Dolce Gabbana. You can buy all that shit, and you still a nigger in America. Being a consumer whore will not elevate your status with white people. I don't know why it is that we have been in this country for 40 years and 400 years and we haven't figured that out. The way America's economy was set up, it was set up where white folks don't have to do anything. And all the people on the bottom, which are black, brown, and yellow, and red, will be the worker bees and worker ants, while the queen and the king, Mr. White Man, sits on his ass. Now, if you don't believe me, go to any company around the country from the West Coast to the East Coast and down south and in the Northwest, and you will see white managers making 200,000 or 300,000 a year, and all they doing is standing around talking and bullshitting. But yet, uh, this guy gets promoted. He don't do shit. And all the employees that are doing the actual work are whom? Hispanic men, Hispanic people, and black people, and some Asians. Usually like Vietnamese or Laotians or Hmongs or people like that. It usually ain't Japanese or Chinese. Okay? So they talk about how India has a caste system. I think America has a caste system, but I think it works a little differently than India's. I think we do have a quasi caste system in this country, because I've seen relatives of my own whose mamas was on welfare, and the next generation ended up on welfare, and then the next generation ended up on welfare. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this for the last 40 years, this cousin from the grandmother on down are a bunch of losers and fuck ups. So that's sort of a case system, because basically what they're doing is passing their bad behavior and lack of self pride and their woe is me mentality to their offspring. And just like I think it was Miss Maxie 74 said that the way this economy is set up, it's a very unforgiving economy. That, like I said, if you look at the tax, now look at the tax, look at the way the tax codes are set up. Who pays the most taxes? The middle class and the lower class. Okay? These are the two groups that pay the lion's share of federal and state taxes, while white folks get off easy. Not white folks, but rich folks get off easy. Case in point, when the IRS takes usually about 20%, 20 to 25% out of your check. Okay, poor people just go ahead and they pay it. Okay, rich people go, you know what? Fuck the IRS. I don't want to pay. So what ends up happening is every time we get a Republican and a Democratic president, they keep lowering taxes for rich motherfuckers. Let me show you how that happens. Rich folks used to pay 60-70% income tax back in the 30s and 40s. Then then it got lowered to about 40 or 50%. Now it's lowered down to like 5 or 6%. So it's no wonder that there's a shortfall in revenue, because for federal and state revenue coming from rich people. There's a shortage of money.